This is Quentin Reynolds. A correspondent usually has a ringside seat of the greatest show on earth, the show that history produces every year. But it isn't always the spectacular acts of war or great disasters that stick in your memory. Sometimes some simple happening that hardly causes a ripple in the stream of world history creates an impression that stays with you. It can be a quiet event, hardly noticed, and yet it can sum up a whole way of life. Not so long ago, this happened right here in America. I'll always remember it. In a lovely valley in the Alleghenies between the Seven Mountains and the Shriner Mountain lies the small community of Aaronsburg, for generations a place known only to the people within its immediate vicinity. A tiny village whose population never grew beyond 400, Pennsylvanians thought of it as just one more of the many small, well-regulated towns which dot the American scene from Maine to California. But a turning point in our history came when it was learned that Aaronsburg's Salem Lutheran Church had a unique background. In the vestibule of the church, there is on display a handsome pewter communion set, still shining as immaculately as when it was first donated more than a century and a half ago. Also preserved is the historic deed of gift, by which on November 16, 1789, the Salem Lutheran Church of Aaronsburg was given the land on which it stands. It is a document noteworthy in the history of human brotherhood in these United States, for the deed was signed by a Jew, Aaron Levy. Impressed by the drama of this fact, a number of Pennsylvanians were inspired to commemorate the event. With the approval of the state, a day of celebration was duly declared, and the local newspaper blazoned forth the Aaronsburg Story. The idea caught on and was supported by its citizens. This town, which had never before had more than a few thousand visitors, was now ready to receive 10,000. Beginning early in the morning, a steady stream of people from all over Pennsylvania and nearby states began to pour in, thousands of them, all eager to join in this little town's festival of religious understanding. It was in order to participate in this celebration and to see the Lutheran Church, to which an Orthodox Jew had so generously contributed, that these myriads of people from all walks of life made their pilgrimage on Sunday, October 23rd, 1949. Governor James H. Duff was host to a multitude of personages who have risen to positions of great distinction in American life. Crowds on Aaronsburg's Hill listened to the governor, who solemnly dedicated this day and proclaimed that Aaronsburg's history typified what this nation and the world are trying to do to improve religious understanding and national and racial amity. Another speaker was Rabbi Philip S. Bernstein of Rochester, New York, who stressed the fact that Aaron Levy's gift symbolized the meaning of America to the downtrodden groups who had fled to her shores to live and worship in freedom and equality. Governor Duff and the audience listened to Dr. Daniel A. Poling, editor of the Christian Herald, declare that it is America's duty to preserve the ideals on which she was founded. Prominent among the audience were some of Aaron Levy's descendants, also the world-famous collector of rare books, Dr. Rosenbach of Philadelphia. Associate Justice Felix Frankfurt of the United States Supreme Court, a distinguished member of Aaron Levy's faith and a great humanitarian, made the point that democracy is not a safe harbor, but a beckoning goal. All races and faiths must share in the public life with discrimination toward none. Dr. Ralph Bunch the eminent Negro who had mediated so successfully on Palestine's behalf for the United Nations, declared that in this atomic age, intolerance in human relations is impractical and costly. General William J. Donovan, the former director of the Office of Strategic Services and leading Catholic layman, stated a military man's belief in the necessity of unity between faiths. An afternoon, the program continued with an open-air historical pageant, The Issue of an Idea, a dramatic presentation of the founding of this little community in the 18th century, written and directed by Professor William R. Gordon of Pennsylvania State College. Attendance multiplied. By 2 that afternoon, 30,000 spectators, 3 times the number prepared for, congregated at the festival to see reenacted how the land granted to Quaker William Penn by King Charles II became the state of Pennsylvania. Those attending the celebration saw the citizens of Aaronsburg and the surrounding countryside playing the roles of their own ancestors in the early days of the colony 2 centuries ago. Devout, hard-working refugees from Europe, men and women of differing faiths who had fled persecution at home and come to America's shores in the hope of starting a new and better life, in which they could obtain political and religious liberty, both for themselves and their descendants, for the rest of their natural lives. Among them was Aaron Levy, a Jewish immigrant from Holland, who came to prosper in Penn's Valley and became a leading citizen, later to lay out the town that bears his name in 1786. 3 years later, he deeded to the trustees of the Salem Lutheran Church 2 lots for the organization to use forevermore as a site for its church, burial ground, and school. The gift of this Jewish philanthropist to the Lutheran Church was gratefully accepted. The land was duly measured off and consecrated to its holy use. Finally, one day in 1796, the first service was held in the Salem Lutheran Church, and it was on this occasion that the liberal Aaron Levy presented to the congregation the handsome pewter communion set from the shop of the best metalsmith in Philadelphia. And so to this day there is preserved in Aaronsburg, Pennsylvania, the communion set which a benevolent member of the Jewish faith gave to his Christian brethren over a century and a half ago. That is how one good American proclaimed his love and respect for all good Americans. And at the end of that day in October 1949, not only those thousands who made the pilgrimage to the town which Aaron Levy founded, but millions of people all over America have heard this story of a never-living example, the generosity and goodwill toward men, which has made America great. It was a quiet event, nothing spectacular about it, but think of what it meant. There aren't many places in the world this could have happened today. Yet if the kind of brotherhood that was achieved in this typical American community could be achieved all over the world, we wouldn't have very much to worry about today. I think we can all learn something from what happened in Aaronsburg, Pennsylvania 150 years. Don't you?